Hello darlings. What I'm going to talk to you about in this video is huge. Top 3 fears that artists have. I'm an artist and I've been there. I'm still going through some of those fears at some level, because they are not just like this a fear and it's going away. It has multiple layers and actually ramifies, is that a word? In a lot of smaller fears that you may not be aware of. So I'm gonna start with 1, the fear of being criticized. Who can relate to that? So being criticized could also go hand in hand with being misunderstood. So basically, when you do an artwork, you put all your soul and effort into doing this piece, even if it's more, easy to understand, or whatever, or maybe more abstract, but artists have a tendency to get very attached to the meaning that they have to everything that they do. And when it's misunderstood, when their artwork is misunderstood, they take it personally. Any kind of feedback being taken very personally, like a criticism, which actually, to be honest, it's the problem of taking things personally. It doesn't mean that we're not talking about constructive criticism, because I don't believe in that shit. When it comes to artwork, like artwork, talent, my style, what I express is what I express. It's mine and it's a very personal thing. You may understand it or you may not understand it, but you cannot tell me how to do my self-expression. So there is no constructive criticism for me. But anyway, so the fear of getting criticized, it has nothing to do actually with whether you are being criticized or not. It doesn't matter if others understand your artwork, don't understand it, tell you good things or bad things. It's just the fear of having something to fucking say and putting yourself out there, putting your artwork out there, and actually being fucking proud of your artwork, not just putting it out there and constantly saying that you're unsatisfied with it, like fucking owning it and putting it out there. And if you do that, actually what I'm trying to say is that artists don't really do that because of this fear of being criticized. Because I've talked about this in another video, and I'm going to actually do another video on value, because they have a tendency to, it's actually not a tendency, it's just a fact. It's a fucking fact that artists think that the value of their artwork is determined by people on the outside, which is not fucking true. How do you determine the value of an artwork? That's the video where I talk about this shit, and the bottom line is that you determine the value of your artwork. So, with being criticized and misunderstood, this is kind of it. Because there are those artists that are so afraid of this that they don't even do anything about it. They keep the artwork for themselves, or they're constantly unsatisfied, because that's why actually they get to criticize themselves so much and to criticize their artwork so much, because they fear that if they don't do that, others will do that for them. And so if I criticize my artwork and I keep retouching it and so on, maybe no one will criticize it anymore. Does it make sense? And this is going to the other video that I made on perfectionism, which is a fucking disease. It's a no-no. Okay, so this is the first fear. The second one is the fear of failure. Again, they are all kind of connected. You can see a slight going through from one to the other, they make sense. But the fear of failure is, first, it can express itself by not even doing your craft, whether it's drawing or something else, not even doing your craft because you're afraid that it's not gonna turn out the way you wanted it to. Like the idea in your head and what you can draw do not match. There is a gap between them and you do not know how to close that gap. The fear of failure also comes into play when you actually did a really good work on something, or you've reached a certain level of success, and now you're fucking afraid to not fail, and it's gonna be very hard for you to stay at those high standards that you've set for yourself. So it's a fear of failure after success. So it's the pressure of always needing to be as successful. And the problem here is that you are seeing this. The problem is with the definition of success. That is actually the problem. And if you see success by what others tell you, whether they love your artwork or not, whether they buy it or not, or so on, it depends so much. The nuances are very soft. And what is success for you, and why do you think that is success for you? It can come out of shadow, meaning that you want something that you don't really want, but you want it because that's the mainstream definition of success. So failure can also come into play when it comes to marketing your artwork. Now, artists, a lot of them just draw and do their shit, and they may be good at that. But when it comes to marketing their shit and actually telling people about it, that's where the shadow kicks in. I was totally there. I'm actually breaking through that as we speak. The fear of failure here can be connected to the fear of rejection. So if I want to tell people, if I'm fucking proud of my artwork and I value it, I want to tell people about it. I want to shout it out loud, right? People have this idea, especially artists, that they shouldn't bother anyone. It's like they don't matter and they're afraid to bother people with, I don't know, an opinion, or give me a like, or check out my portfolio, check out my account, check out my profile, whatever. And it comes from such a needy energy. That's the problem. It's the needy energy. And because you don't want to be needy, and you fear rejection, because you don't want to be like super confident and go out there and then people say no, like, my artwork is awesome, look at it. And they're, no, it's not, it's like shit. Then you are fucking paralyzed and don't know what to do. You've just fallen off your high horse. And what the fuck just happened? And this fear of failure can get so much into you that it stops you from taking any kind of action. Do you relate? I'm sure you do. And let me tell you, those fears, it's not even a question of whether you have them or not. Because artists are just fucking built this way because that's how society treats artists. And because of the conditioning of society, that's how they end up with those fears that limit them, unless they are very aware and get control over their energy. And they know how to stand in their energy and not put the value of their artwork in relationship with the value that other people see in their artwork. Now the last huge fear is we already kind of talked about it, and it's related to both of the other ones, and it's the fear basically of taking responsibility. for your decisions, for your life, but yeah, for your career, for your artwork, for your talent. How many artists you know that when you ask them what's your talent, they are like, well, I like to draw. Do you feel the flimsy energy in that shit? They are not like, oh, I'm the best at this, or I'm so fucking passionate about this, or my expertise is in this. Like, they don't own their talent, and they don't own it because they actually don't practice it. You know why? Because they do not express their own talent, because they do what other people do instead of listening to their own intuition. Then they would be more confident, because when you express your own talent, you are fucking unique, and you're gonna know what it is that you actually do, and you know how to own your uniqueness and your power and your artistry. So this fear of taking responsibility goes in play even in the first one and the second one, because you are afraid to own your power, to take control over your value. If I say this is my value, this is what it is, it has nothing to do with what you care. Even when the whole world is against you and they tell you that you are shit, you know that's not true, because you know your fucking value. And you are going to do, no matter what, whatever it takes to get to where you want to get. It's about not just staying comfortable in what you are doing. A lot of artists just get their comfort from staying at their laptop or at whatever, their canvas, whatever it is, or whatever else, whatever your craft may be, and just crafting in silence or listening to music, but being just you with yourself. I actually posted about this. There are no such thing as shy people or introverts. That's a fucking myth. It comes from a dysfunction. It's actually something that society deems acceptable as an acceptable excuse to low self-esteem. You do not have confidence. You are afraid of people. You are afraid of going out there and being rejected. I actually experimented this, because now I'm putting myself out there with everything that I know to be true, and that I teach you, and that I talk about in those videos. And this is the talk I talk, is also the walk I walk. I go through this, and I do what I preach. Is that what you call it? And I'm going through it myself, and I'm getting rejections, and I'm dealing with it. It's actually fascinating. I have this voice in my head that the more I move forward and I hit all kinds of blocks, it's telling me, okay, I see, it gets panicked, the voice in my head, and it wants me to stop, because, hey, what the fuck are you doing? Your mind is trying to keep you safe from not doing things that you haven't done before. But doing that, listening to that, it's fucking shadow. It's gonna keep you limited and in fear for the rest of your fucking life. So if you're done with being the shy artist and the introvert and the one that has no fucking control over what they do, and they just are waiting for someone magically appear and see your awesome talent and make you fucking famous, that's not gonna fucking happen, right? And if you're done with waiting, and if you want to take control over your art and your career, then contact me. Either work with me one-on-one, or get into my free Facebook group to start with, where we are going to practice all this energy work behind the talent. Because it's not so much about the skill that you can learn, it's about connecting to your innate abilities and expressing them. The Facebook group is called Talent is Your Mistress, and I'm going to be waiting for you in there. Bye, guys.